Hey everyone, back with another days at my desk. I know my last video was also a days at my desk, but I just feel like it makes sense for the fall. I don't know. I love watching more vlog style content during this time of year, and I know these aren't really vlogs, but in a way they are because I'm bringing you along for several days in my life, and most of the time it's at my desk and just showing you what I'm getting up to. But I also kind of take you around as I do other things in the week. So to me, it just feels very cozy and festive. And because I'm really getting into the fall spirit and I just feel like I come alive during this time of year, yeah, this is what feels right to me. So I hope you guys like the days at my desk videos as well. Anyway, it is Saturday morning and I wanted to sit down and journal for a little bit. On the weekends, I like spending a dedicated amount of time just journaling. It feels like a really nice way to start the weekend. It's a very restful and therapeutic practice for me. So that's what I'm doing. I have been loving writing with the Sailor Fuji Sugata ink, by the way. It's so beautiful. You can see more of it here. It's beautiful. And I put a little swatch of it here as well. I just absolutely love this color. I typically don't like purples like this, actually. I don't know. For some reason, this ink is so interesting and I love the way that it shades. There's something about it that's very unique to me. And you can see in the swatch here, it even has some shades of peachy pink in there. So I like that it's not just a flat purple. So I've been really liking that as accents in my pages. And I have it inked in my TWSBI Eco with a medium nib. I wanted to use a broader nib just to get more of the color and the shading showing up. And I think it looks beautiful. But I don't want to write this entire spread with that same ink. So I'm going to use my Pilot Kakuno for the rest of this page and probably this page as well. And this is currently inked with Pilot Iroshizuku Shungyo, which I think complements the Sailor Fuji Sugata really well because this is a really deep purple ink. Almost to the point where it looks black or a dark brown, but it has that purple undertone. So I like pairing these two together. And I also just love how it feels to write with this pen. Honestly, it's so comfortable for long form writing. And I almost want to get more kakunos, but I really have no need for it. So I'm gonna hold off for now. But wow, these pens are so underrated. Even though I know everyone talks about them and people rave about the Kakuno, it still feels underrated to me because that's just how much I love the writing experience. So this is what I want to write with today. Something I was thinking about today, honestly, was how large my fountain pen collection has grown. I have 4 pens now and I love all of them so much. And I was thinking about is this too many pens? When do I call it, Because I know I'm going to be traveling to Japan later this year and I know I want to get another pen when I'm there because I have to. I'm going to Japan. It feels like it would be a huge missed opportunity if I didn't. I know I don't have to buy a pen, but I'm kind of treating that as my birthday gift. And I was just thinking, is that excessive? But I now that I have 4 pens, I've started to understand the appeal of having multiple pens. I didn't quite understand it when I first got into this world of fountain pens, but now I like being able to switch between different combinations of inks depending on my mood. I like to be able to use different pens depending on the writing experience that I'm craving. It's almost like building a wardrobe. You don't want to wear the same thing every single day. I like that I have different outfits to choose from now, depending on my mood. So yeah, I've just been, now that I have multiple pens to play with in my journal, I have really come to appreciate how much fun it is really to go between different pens. and different inks, and it's fun to also like curate a color palette that all goes well together. Like I think all of these ink colors that I currently have inked complement each other really well, and it was fun to curate that. So anyway, I'm still deciding what pen I would like to get in Japan, but of course, you will be the first to find out once I do purchase another pen. Okay, I am going to take some time to journal now, and I'll show you what these two inks look like together once I'm done. I just finished journaling for the morning. You can kind of see here what I meant. I feel like the Sailor Fuji Sugata and the Pilot Iroshizuku Sungyo inks complement each other well because they both have purple undertones. Even though they're very different inks and the Pilot ink almost looks black, I think just the fact that they have purple undertones makes them look really nice together. Now, what kind of ruins the spread for me is I accidentally used the wrong pen here. I was reaching for my Sailor Fuji Sugata ink, and I accidentally grabbed my other TWSBI, which was inked up with Pilot Iroshizuku Yamabudo. So now I just feel like this spread clashes, and I think this ink is more warm toned versus this one is very cool toned. So that bothers me. I just feel like it clashes, and now I'm like irked by that. I also am just frustrated that my handwriting looks so messy today. And I've noticed that that happens whenever I have a migraine. I just have less control over my hand and it feels very shaky. And then my handwriting ends up looking awful. And then that just puts me in a bad mood. So I'm not super happy with how this spread turned out, but I do really like this ink combination. I've been having fun identifying inks that pair well together. Note to self, these two inks do not pair well together, so now I'm gonna avoid using them on the same spread. Okay, I think that is it for this morning. I will see you a little bit later.
To be back at 4.
It is Wednesday morning, and yesterday I got in a really exciting package from Van Ness. I had ordered some ink samples from them. I also, this past weekend, I went shopping with my mom and sister, and we were able to go to a Maido, which is a Japanese stationery store. It was really small, but they had a huge selection of sailor inks. And because my birthday is coming up in a few weeks, my mom asked me to pick out an ink that I wanted as my birthday gift. And in my recent new pens and inks video where I showed my new Twisby matcha, one of the inks I sampled in that video was a Sailor Yurameku ink called Hana Gokoro. And I have fallen in love with that ink since then. It is the most interesting color that I've written with. I just think it's so beautiful and so unique. And so that is what my mom gave me for my birthday. And I'm so excited to have a bottle of this because truly I have really enjoyed writing with this ink. It starts as a dark blue and then kind of turns gray and then it becomes like a plum color. And I can actually see all of that variation in writing. And I think that's what's really rare about inks like this, because anytime previously that I've tried like a dual shading ink or an ink with multiple color tones in it, it doesn't all show up when I actually write. It only really shows up in the swatch. It's kind of the perfect color for me. So really happy to have this. I'm gonna swatch it again just to show you in all of its glory. But let us get into these samples first. Let's start with this one. So this is a Kiyono Oto ink. It's called Atsuki Iro. It's number 6. And I wanted to get this sample because I've never tried a Kiyono Oto ink before. And I've always been really drawn to their colors. I think they just understand color really well. And they have the most beautiful inks. Like, I'm not always drawn to colorful inks. Like, I don't always like super vibrant inks, if that makes sense. But I think the way they do color, it feels very natural and organic. Like it's all colors that I feel like are found in nature. And because of that, I feel like it's softer on the eyes when you write with colors like this. And this one seems like a beautiful burgundy tone. And I don't really have many burgundy inks, so I wanted to try it out. Okay, if the lighting looks different and if I sound a little different to you right now, it's because it is now several hours later. I was planning to film this in the morning and then something urgent came up at work, so I had to start my workday early today. I finally finished my workday. So sorry if I sound a little different. I think we were gonna start with the Kiyono Oto. So let's just start there and I'll zoom you in. I'm gonna try to do a bigger swatch than usual. I love that. Wow. It did feel a little bit dry going on. Like I had to build it up quite a bit. And that's something I'm nervous about with the Kiyono Oto inks in general. I've seen in a lot of the reviews online that they can write a little dry, but I guess as long as the flow is consistent, it should be okay. Kiyono Oto Atsuki Iro. I really liked how that looks. It's definitely a burgundy, but it has like a mauve-y feel to it. Okay, so the next ink here is by Tatcha, and this one, I'm not sure if I'm gonna like it, to be honest. I kind of took a risk with this one. All of the swatches I see online are very inconsistent. On Van Ness, it looks like a beautiful deep green, like a forest green that turns into a beautiful deep red. It's like a green to red shift. In some swatches, it does lean a little teal. So I'm nervous about that because if you've seen some of my previous like ink swatching videos, you would know I really dislike teal. It's like the one color that I just hate. I don't know why. It's just very off-putting to me. So I'm nervous because looking in here, it looks blue, like it's leaning much more blue than I expected. I was really drawn to the swatch because it purely looked green to me. Okay, I'm nervous. I really hope this doesn't look teal in person, but I have a feeling it will be. That looks completely blue right now. In fact, it looks very teal. I think I chose wrong here. Let's see, I hope it dries down to a green, but I don't think it will because this part's already dry and that clearly looks teal to me. So I feel like this is my bad. I don't know. I'm gonna add the swatch that I saw on Van Ness on the screen right now because hopefully you'll agree with me that the swatch looks green, or it's like a dark green to purpley red. It did not read as teal at all, but this is like clearly just a teal. So I don't know, is that my bad? Like, I feel like I misread this. Let's see how I feel about it once I write with it though. Yeah, I'm not liking this one. I'm so sad. I don't know, and the dual shading, maybe it's a sheening ink actually, but the purpley red tones, I see it, but it's very subtle. It's quite different from the swatch, honestly. Not a fan of this one. Okay, let's move on to something that I know I'm gonna love, which is this one, Dominant Industries Fisherman at Sea. I have been on the hunt for my perfect green, and I have a feeling that I'm gonna really like this one. I received a letter that was written completely in this ink, and it was so gorgeous. So I know what it looks like in writing already. I feel like it's kind of hard to find a green tone that I really like. I was specifically looking for a more cool toned green, something that looks like a true like forest green that has some depth to it, kind of like, you know, moss on a rock, like that type of deep green that isn't very in your face. And I knew I wanted it to be cool toned. A lot of the inks that I found online were very warm leaning, like they had a lot of yellow or a lot of brown in them. It's not quite my favorite type of green. I definitely like greens like this, like my hobonichi case. It's clearly a very cool toned dark green, like a forest green. And yeah, I just love that color. So I am hoping that this will be that green for me. Let's see. And I've tried some Dominant Industry inks before from samples, and I know I really like them. Also, this is stunning already. I'm so in love with it. Oh my gosh. I love this color. It's perfect. I mean, this is exactly what I was looking for. Oh, and I can already see so much variation in the shading. Let's see how it writes. Dominant Industry Fisherman at Sea. Beautiful writing experience in this dip pen. Super smooth. That's exactly what I was looking for. Like something that would still read as a green in writing, but not super in your face and like off-putting. It still has a very muted look to it. It's very pleasant to look at. And as it's drying, I'm loving it more and more. Like I just really love the shading here, and I hope that that'll show through if I use it in a broader nib. But even in this writing sample, I can see shading. I'm not sure if that'll pick up on camera, but I can physically see it in front of me. Okay, next, let's go with this one. This one is Kobe Nakayamate Black, and this was directly influenced by Ella Nim. Chris has spoken about this ink a couple times on their channel, and what really drew me to this ink is it's not a super stark black that's kind of harsh on the page. Honestly, I'm just in need of a solid black ink that will be easy on the eyes. I want something softer that's not going to look really high contrast on the page. And from Chris's swatches, this one seems perfect. I am a little nervous though, because they mentioned that this can be a little too wet. I don't know why I'm doing this out of order, but yeah, that makes me a little nervous because I know if I'm gonna be writing with a black ink, I think I would want it to write a little more fine just to minimize the amount of harshness that it adds to the page. So let's see, this one is Kobe Nakayamate Black. Wow, that looks quite dark right now. But in some of the areas where less ink went down on the page, it does look quite soft. I really like that tone. It's not exactly a charcoal color. It has some warmth to it. I really like that. It's almost like a taupey undertone. I see a little bit of warmth to it, but it's still like a dark gray. And I really like that. That's just the writing here. I already can tell like this is kind of what I was looking for. And it was really nice to write with, actually. I'm happy with that one. I know the Kobe inks though are kind of at a higher price point compared to some of the other brands. But that's the only thing. I would like to find a similar black that is at a cheaper price point. Okay, and lastly with our samples, I have Diamine Forever in Tiger Lily. This is one that I have been curious about. I've seen it come up a few times when I've looked for ink samples, but I've always been a little bit hesitant to try it because I don't know if it's gonna stain my pens, honestly. So if any of you have experience with the Diamine Forever inks, is there anything I need to be careful about or look out for with these? But the color is just so unique. I've never seen an ink like this before, and I like that the Forever inks also are permanent inks and that they're waterproof. I was just really curious about this color. I think it's so beautiful. And coincidentally, I saw that Ella Nim actually raved about this color as well. Just trying to build it up in some areas. This is a beautiful color. And it is so vibrant. It's like, it goes on almost fluorescent. I really like that. Diamine Forever. Tiger Lily. This is so smooth to write with as well. That is so nice. I love that shade of red. I think, honestly, these two colors together would look beautiful. And that's kind of how I envision using this. Like I would write most of my entry with a black like this, and this would come in as the pop of color, as the accent, or any text that I want to call out or really stand out on the page. Okay, and last but not least, I really want to re-swatch this Hana Gokoro because it's just too beautiful. And I love everything about this ink. I have loved the writing experience. Can't say enough good things about it. It's so interesting because it goes on blue, but you can see there already how it's shifting and turning a browny gray color, and it'll continue to keep changing so that some purple and some red and brown start showing through, and it really just turns into this color that shifts from gray to like plum to brown. It's very interesting, and hopefully even just in this initial swatch you can see that really interesting variation. Sailor Yurameku and Hana Gokoro. See there, it's turning purple and brown. I love it. And I know I'm like super late to the game. I'm sure most of you are probably aware of these inks. I don't know. I am a newbie after all, but I just had to share the joy with you guys. Okay, and actually while that continues drying, I wanted to do some quick swatches in my cousin as well, because I'd like to start looking at inks on different papers. I feel like I only ever swatch on that Good Impressions paper, and it's not always true to how things end up looking in my journal. And I just put my Traveler's Company like pencil board under the sheet so that it doesn't bleed through to all of the other pages. Ooh, that's feathering quite a bit. Not the prettiest swatches, but it's fine. They're just kind of random. Okay, I'm gonna let this dry now. And let's bring this back in. Final thoughts. Let's see. Immediately I can tell you I love this ink. I love Fisherman at Sea. This is so beautiful. I love the shading. I love all of the tones in the spectrum of this color. The lightest all the way to the darkest, I think it just looks beautiful. And it seems like it's gonna show up really nicely in writing as well, just based on this swatch. So I'm very excited to use this one. It's exactly the undertone that I was looking for in a green ink. I really like the Atsuki Iro, but there's something about it that's not quite what I thought it would be. I think it's a lot more pink than I expected, and I thought it would lean more brown. I'm not mad at it, but I'm also not blown away by it or in love with it. I think it's a beautiful ink, but I think I'm just gonna have to write with it to really know how I feel. I love all of the inks on this side of the page. Stunning. I love this Nakayamate black. It is, again, exactly the type of black I was looking for. It's soft on the eyes and it wrote really nicely. I love Tiger Lily, like more than I expected to. When I first got these samples, I was a little shocked by how this looked in the tube, and I kind of questioned the decision to pick this one up, but seeing it swatched out and in writing, it's so unique. I've never really seen a tone quite like this. It did really remind me of Dominant Industry Maple, but you can see that Tiger Lily is much more saturated and it has a more orangey undertone versus Maple has a more salmony undertone. So they are different. You already know how I feel about Hana Gokoro. It's so stunning. And hopefully you can see the color variation I was talking about, although it's not quite showing through as well in this swatch. I think I put too much ink on the swatch. Lastly, this was a complete fail. I really don't like this ink. I really don't like how teal it looks. It looks completely different from the swatches I saw online, to be honest. So I don't think I'm gonna use this ink, honestly. I mean, I'll of course try it and see how I feel about it, but sadly, I think it's not gonna get much use just because it's a color family that I don't like. It's nothing against Tatcha. I think writing with it felt really nice. I think if you are someone who likes teal, you would love this ink because it is objectively very pretty. It's just not for me. I will say overall, a successful haul. I absolutely love 3 out of the 5 samples, and I like this one as well. So 4 out of 5 were successful, and yeah, really happy to have this one in my collection now. I almost forgot to show you how the swatches turned out in the cousin. I think they look great. Surprisingly, I feel like the Tatcha ink looks a little different between the two papers. Over here, it definitely has more green in it versus here. It still looks teal, but I do see more green on the hobonichi paper, and I think it looks a little better in here. The other one that I felt looked nicer in the cousin is the Kiyono Oto ink. I think it has more depth in here. The color just looks ever so slightly nicer to me. I like the Fisherman at Sea more on the Good Impressions paper. I feel like this does a much better job of showing the shading and the variation. The Nakayamate Black and the Tiger Lily look pretty consistent on both paper types, so happy about that. Now this is also Tomoe River paper, so they're not gonna look vastly different, but I believe it's just different GSM, and I'm sure the coating and everything is different between these two brands. So overall, I think it looks great in the hobonichi paper. Okay, that is it for today. I will see you a little bit later this week. It's Friday morning and I wanted to pack an order that came in this week because I would like to mail it out today. The post office had these Keith Haring stamps, which was really cool. This order contains my cafe journaling sheet and my Sunday sleepies. Okay. I love this new Yohaku washi tape that I got. I've been using it on all of my orders lately. And then I'm gonna layer some of these pie-on stickers. I just think they add really nice accents and pops of color. That's cute. This is cute. Okay, I like that. And then okay, I'm gonna fill out the address off camera and then I will go mail this out sometime today. I wanted to update my weekly spread before signing into work. And yeah, this is how this week is looking. This was a really sweet note that was included in my Van Ness order. So thank you, Mike. I think he must have packaged my order, but this was so sweet to receive that. It made my day. Basically said my name and then you matter. We need more of that energy in the world right now. So I really appreciated that. I wanted to save it in my journal. This week, I'm loving the theme. Last week's theme was very much fall, the changing of the leaves, even though the leaves don't really change here in LA, but very fall inspired, and you would have seen this in my last video. But this week, I wanted to get into the Halloween vibes. So these stickers are from a sticker sheet by Lexorcist Files, formerly Lex and Lore here on YouTube. I don't know if they still sell these. And then these are Megan Rhiannon printables. And yeah, I really love the color scheme for this week. I finally inked up my TWSBI Eco with the Sailor Chushu ink. And that's what you'll see here. This is Pilot Iroshizuku Shungyo, and then right underneath is Sailor Shikiori Chushu. And I'm not sure how I feel about it. It basically is working as like a black ink right now. It looks much darker than I expected, and it has a blue undertone. I don't know why I expected it to have more of a purpley undertone, but it's definitely blue. but very, very desaturated and almost black. And then I've been adding accents of the Sailor Fuji Sugata, which I am just in love with. I've mentioned that earlier in this video, I think. But yeah, all of these colors just look great together. It is Friday, so I have to update Thursday and maybe a little bit of this morning as well. And then I need to sign into work. And then I have another optometry appointment this week. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. Okay, I think that's good for now. I will see you a little bit later. It's Saturday morning and now I just want some quiet, cozy time with my journal. I printed out a bunch of pictures from Pinterest, but also from my own camera roll yesterday. I wanted to cut these out and put together a little mood board for my October cover page in my Hobonichi Cousin. So that's what we're doing right now. I thought I might as well turn on the camera and do this with you guys. I don't really have anything in particular to talk about as I'm doing this, but there is something, I guess, that has been kind of heavy on my mind lately in regards to journaling. And I kind of talked about it in my September flip through video as well. And a couple of you in the comments expressed that you have been feeling similar feelings. So I thought I might as well talk about it a little more right now. But lately I've kind of been feeling bad about how different my journaling practice has looked this year compared to the past. And really, I think it's just that I feel so exhausted all the time. I feel like I'm not really able to show up in my journal the way that I used to. And I feel bad about that, if I'm being honest, even though that kind of goes against all of my values and beliefs when it comes to journaling. You know, I strongly believe that your journal is going to go through ebbs and flows, just as you do in life, that ultimately it's a representation of you and what you're going through, and it can't always look consistently the same. And you're not going to always write in the same way or reflect in the same way because of that. You know, it's only natural for that to change over time. So I know all that and I believe all that to be true. And yet I still feel sad. And I think a lot of us in the world, not just in the US, like everywhere, are experiencing exhaustion, like just pure burnout. Because we're constantly faced with so much chaos and negativity and uncertainty and instability right now everywhere in the world. It starts to feel like you don't have the mental capacity anymore to write and to create and to feel inspired. At least that's how I feel. I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I have been feeling just like I cannot romanticize my life and appreciate the mundane moments as much as I used to because I just feel so mentally exhausted. And for me, there's also like chronic illnesses that I deal with. You know, there's other health related things that add to that. And overall, I just feel like I'm not able to be fully present right now. But I know many of you feel the same way. And I know that it's impacting a lot of our journaling practices. And I don't know. I don't have a solution for it. I'm not talking about it because I have some advice to give, unfortunately. I just want to be honest and talk about what's been going on, what I've been thinking about, because I think it also just helps to share and to not feel alone. Yeah, I don't know. I've just found myself unable to reflect in the same way that I used to and romanticize my life the same way that I used to before. And I'm trying my best. I really am. In October, I really put in a lot of effort to, in the past few months actually, I put in a lot of effort to write about all of the media that I've been watching. Like, I've tried to commonplace more just so I can capture like what are the things that I've been interested in lately. You know, all of these things are ways for me to try to add meaning to my life and almost like tell myself, reassure myself that your interests matter, the things that you're engaging with every day matter. But I think when your mental health is struggling, sometimes it's hard to convince yourself that these things matter, you know? I don't know if that's making sense, but I think because life kind of feels so exhausting right now, I'm not finding that same joy out of capturing all of these mundane things in my life the same way that I used to. And I know it's just a phase. Again, I always remind myself that it's natural to go through ups and downs in every aspect of life and even in the way I view my life. But yeah, I don't know. Lately, it's just been kind of difficult to feel that same sense of joy that my journal has always brought me in the past. I guess that's what I'm really trying to say is I think the other part of it for me is also that it just feels like time is moving so fast and that I'm not able to savor everything that I want to savor. Like, I can't believe it's already almost the end of October. It's almost Halloween. I feel like we just finished September. I don't know. Do any of you feel this way too? That your sense of time is kind of skewed right now? But yeah, time is passing so fast and I feel like all of these things I'm documenting, it almost makes me sad to look at because I don't know, it just feels like I can't hold on to any moments. They're just so fleeting. Especially because this is my favorite time of year and I don't want it to be gone so quickly, you know? I wish time could slow down a little bit. I don't know. At this point, I feel like I'm just rambling and I'm sorry about that, but let me know if any of this is making sense to you, and I would greatly appreciate that. I will say I'm really looking forward to my Japan trip later this year. I think that's really going to bring back a lot of the feeling of joy that this journaling practice and stationery hobby adds to my life. I think I just really maybe need a change of scenery because honestly, I've been just feeling so unwell all the time. And I feel like so many of us are burnt out at work. It seems like in almost every industry right now, people are being expected to do more work for less money, less reward, less recognition. So there's just more and more expected of you, and it feels like there's less and less to work towards. So I think a lot of us are feeling really, really burnt out. I guess all that to say, I'm trying to check in with myself more around what purpose do I want my journal to serve? How can I modify my journaling practice to feel better about it and to feel like I'm getting what I need from it? I don't want to kind of be on autopilot where I just am doing the same thing every day in my journal just to kind of check a box. I really have lately been thinking a lot about like what function do I want my journal to serve and what's going to make me feel good about journaling. I want to make kind of like an October mood board for the monthly cover page here. In previous months, I've used it as like a media log. I think for the past 3 months, I've been doing that where I'm just capturing all of the movies and TV shows and any other media that I consumed that month that really stood out to me. But for October, I wanted to do a little bit of that. Like I have some of the Twilight pictures printed out because that was kind of a highlight of the month for me, just rewatching Twilight at the start of October. But I also wanted to just make it more of like a fall / Halloween mood board as well, just because this is my favorite time of the year and this kind of marks the start of that. So I don't want it to just be a media log. I want it to capture like the feelings that this month evokes for me and maybe some of the themes for the month as well. So I have a lot of pictures here that I can choose from, and I kind of just want to capture a feeling more than, an exact representation of what I did. I think that looks great, and it really does capture the feeling of this month really well. I'm happy with that. Okay, I think that brings us to the end of this video. Once again, thank you so much for your company this week. I hope you are all doing well and finding ways to care for yourself. I hope this October has treated you very well. I can't believe we're at the end of October. I would love to know your thoughts in the comments if anything in this video resonated with you. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you again for being here, and I will see you in the next one.